Hello everybody, welcome to my workshop in our garage where I build things. Today I'm going to build a loaf of bread using the equipment and tools and supplies that are stored in our garage here in High River. As far as the recipe is concerned, I designed my own recipe on how to build a loaf of bread because the recipes I tried on bread making all take way too much time, and my fingers still hurt from mixing the ingredients and kneading the dough. My design takes less than 5 minutes of preparation and can be processed within 4.5 hours from start to finish. If you're interested, stay tuned and I'll go over the process with you. In front of you over here I have placed the ingredients on what you need to build a loaf of bread. I found flour on a dry goods storage shelf over here and filled this cup with 1.5 cup of all-purpose flour, and this cup I put in 1.5 cup of whole wheat flour. Next on the table I placed a little dish with a 1/4 teaspoon of yeast. In this dish you will find a tablespoon of salt. From the tap in the garage I got 1.5 cup of hot water with a temperature that has around 130 degrees Fahrenheit, which is equivalent to 55 Celsius. In my research I found that when you mix the flour with all these ingredients with hot water, it only takes about 3 hours for the dough to rise, whereas when you use cold water it can take up to 12 hours. Again, these are the ingredients you need to build a loaf of bread. 3 cups of flour, a 1/4 teaspoon of yeast, 1 teaspoon of salt, and 1.5 cup of hot water. To start the process we need to combine these ingredients, and for this I'll be using one of Joanne's flower pots. I conducted a study on the use of a flower pot versus a conventional kitchen bowl, and I've come to a conclusion that a flower pot adds more character to the bread building process. And furthermore, in my opinion, it gives the end product a special flavor. Well, enough about that, and I think we should just continue with the process and dump all the ingredients into the flower pot. There goes the 1 and 1.5 of whole wheat. Then we have the yeast, and we have the salt. 1 teaspoon of salt. And of course I add the water, and I'm leaving about 10% back in the watering jug to be used later, okay? Now to mix the ingredients I use my drill and I use my paint stirrer, and then I start mixing it. As you can see, it gets quite sticky. And what I do, I just add the extra 10% of water into the bowl, and then I just continue on. Until the ingredients are well combined. When you look at this, when they're well combined, like you see over here, what I do next, I just take my paint stripper and I clean out the excess dough from my paint stripper with a screwdriver. I find that a flathead screwdriver works better than a Robinson. There you go. Next, I let the dough rise for 3 hours, and to keep the moisture inside the flour pot, I wrap the flour pot with plastic. So this is what we have done so far, and I'll see you back in about 3 hours. Like Arnold would say, I'm back. And the dough has risen from a well-combined ingredients to a product that we can see over here. Let's take the wrap off. The next step is to shape the dough. And to do this, we transfer the dough from the flour pot into a floury surface. And to create this floury surface, I'm just going to put some flour on the top here, like this, and let's transfer this dough. So we just transfer the dough, take it out of here. So there we go. So it's in the dough. So it's not quite as sticky now once we have it in the dough. Now, then what we do, we take a scraper. I have a scraper here somewhere. I use this scraper here. And you keep turning the dough about 10 times. And what you do, you start turning the dough into a shape that you want the bread to be. So what I want to do is have the bread in the shape of a bowl, and that's so the shape is going to be like a ball, you know, and that has to fit into this flour pot again, and that's going to be, you know, a round shape actually. So really the shape I'm making kind of complements the flour pot. So see, look at that. And this only takes about 10-15 seconds. That's how fast things are. Now before we put it back into the flour pot, we don't want it to stick to the flour pot sides, and that's why I use some parchment paper to keep it from sticking. And the parchment paper, I pre-cut that so it kind of makes it easy for the dough to get in there. And then we have the dough in here. Let's put that as low. There we go. So and then what we do, we cover the pot with a towel. And I found a little Dutch towel here. There we go. And again, we let the dough sit here for another 30 minutes actually, so it gives some time to pop up into the shape you want it to. Now this kind of concludes the process on how we build a loaf of bread. The baking of the bread is an entirely different process, and this does not happen here, but that happens in our kitchen. And if you're interested on how to bake a loaf of bread, just stay tuned again, and we'll see you in the kitchen in about 30 minutes. As you can see, I've taken the flour pot with the dough into the kitchen. And what I'm going to do, out of the oven over here, I'm going to take a Dutch oven pan that has been preheated up to 450 degrees Fahrenheit, which is 233 Celsius. What I'm going to do then is transfer the dough from this flour pot into the Dutch oven pan, and then put the lid on and put it back into the oven for another 30 minutes to bake. Brian, where are those oven mitts? Oh, here. There. I found them. I found them. Holy smokes, this is hot. One, two. There it goes. Now we put the lid back on. The other oven mitt, of course. And let's put it back into the oven. See you in about 30 minutes. Well, the 30 minutes are up, and let's have a look what the baked bread looks like. Oh my goodness. Wow. That's hot. Smells good. And have a look, isn't this beauty? Wow. Well, and that's how we build and we bake bread. Have a great day and see you soon.